This video is intended to show three of the different techniques available to create accurate transparency. Our primary method has been layers. I want to expand on this idea that there's always multiple ways to do any action in Photoshop. So even though I'm presenting one way, which tends to be the easiest or tends to relate well to later assignments, this will show how there are other ways to do it. So if you're seeing different information available, especially at the Adobe help site, it should be trusted. There's not always one way to do something. So be open to exploring these different methods because they each have their advantages. Often the techniques I'm presenting for this course, for color theory, is intended to show a method that we'll need to use later for some other reason. It may not be the easiest for that one particular assignment, but it often relates well to other assignments, and it helps us give us a better explanation of what we're trying to do. So what we're doing in this first set here is we're going to do all three of these at 50%, 50% being the easiest, as explained in the assignment area, why we can evaluate that the quickest. So what we have now is we've selected this central area. I'm going to do this with all three. I'm going to select my vertical color, which is a yellow, and I'm going to go ahead and drop it in with a paint bucket. So nothing new there. We're creating that new layer. We're selecting the horizontal. We're going to drop that in on top of the yellow on the new layer, and we're going to adjust the opacity to 50%. And in this method, we get our transparent area, which is correct, but we also have the advantage of being able to come back and change this at any time. We have a separate layer that we're working on, which also has advantages. It's part of why this method is used at this time. So a couple simpler ways to do this, should you just need to do a quick little area, or you want to see some of the differences that are available. We're going to go back to our background layer. We're going to select this transparent area again, drop in our colors. The sequence is pretty much irrelevant. You can do this anyway and still end up with the same results. So here we've got our horizontal laid in. We're going to select the yellow. We're going to stay on this background layer, this original layer that was created. And this time, now that we have our yellow, we're going to go to the paint bucket tool again. We're going to change the opacity to 50%. So no new layers, no additional steps, just going to the paint bucket, opacity 50%, drop it in, now we can compare. We know our original works fine. We can see this method also works fine. We can see that those values 128, 255, 128. So the 255 is consistent between the yellow and the cyan. Our variables here are the blue and the red. They're both at that halfway point as explained in that detailed explanation. So let's go ahead and look at one more method, still in the background layer. Select that transparent area, drop the colors in. And see, there's my first step. That one of the things we can go wrong with is leaving the opacity at 50%. Did not change that back, so there you go. So we'll go ahead and drop that in again, fully opaque, yellow application to the transparent area. This time we're going to go to the brush tool. You can see my brush tool is already set to 50%. We're going to go ahead and select the horizontal, go back to the brush tool, we're going to drop that in. And we can compare that as well with the eyedropper. We can see those values are consistent with the other ones. There's three different methods, all lead to the same result, all have advantages and disadvantages. It's a matter of taking advantage of what you need at any certain instance. The reason we're using layers primarily is to allow us to go back and make changes if necessary, to remove a layer with minimal effort. Here you pretty much have to start the process over, which isn't usually a big deal, but if you started to deal with more than 1, 2, 3 transparent layers in relation to each other, it would become a little bit more complicated. The layers allows us to separate out our different areas, do things independently without affecting the entire image. If you have questions about this, let me know. It's a fairly simple, straightforward process going this way. Either one of these three works well for this assignment, although there are advantages and disadvantages as we go into the next color assignment that uses transparency. And again, if you have any other questions, let me know. Thanks.